When Drew Crook steps up to the plate, he's got one thing on his mind: smack the out of the ball. He never sees the ball coming, he just listens. Drew is blind, lost his eyesight as a teen. He suffers from a degenerative retinal condition.
It was rough when I was younger. I definitely had, nights where I'd stay up and I'd talk to my parents about it and I'd be all upset. And it still gets me upset, but it's more of, I have the coping mechanisms now and I know how to deal with it.
Sports certainly help. After wrestling at Souhegan High School in Amherst, Drew longed to play competitive sports again. And in his late 20s, he found beep ball, a version of baseball specifically created for blind and visually impaired athletes.
Yeah, that's a great feeling. Swinging the bat and you feel that kind of the feedback when you crack the ball.
He's in his 5th season with the Boston Renegades, one of 30 teams that make up the National Beep Baseball League. The players have varying degrees of vision loss. They wear blindfolds to level the playing field.
I can see where the sun is. I can see shadows. I don't have any finite or detail vision. I can see that the ball's here, but I don't see that it's a ball. If I back away from it, it's just kind of the fuzzy shape.
The game is played by sound. Balls beep and bases buzz. The pitcher and catcher, both sided, and the batter are all on the same team, working together to help the batter put the ball in play.
Set. Ready. Pitch.
Those 3 words are shouted out before a pitch is thrown, alerting the defense and the hitter. Drew's timing based on the consonants, not so much the beeping ball.
I might start swinging at the T in pitch or the CH or maybe even a hair after I hear the whole word pitch.
Longtime head coach Rob Weissman relies on Drew's big bat.
He is our biggest hitter on the team right now, probably one of the top 2 biggest hitters we've ever had.
A credit to the work Drew and his coaches put in. Drew can't be shown the best batting stance. He must feel it.
Like if one of my coaches is demonstrating how to hold the bat or how to follow through on a swing, they might hold that position so I can kind of feel where their shoulders are, where their hands are.
The Renegades consistently finish in the top 5 at the Beep Ball World Series and often win the Beast of the East tournament.
Tyler, Rover, Joe Yee, third base, Melissa, midfield.
On defense, 6 players take the field along with 2 sighted spotters. Gina Devenish volunteers alongside her husband Sean, who plays.
Just seeing how happy he is and seeing how much fun he's having out there is part of the reason that I'm out here as well.
Sean, take 3 steps to your right. Right there.
Spotters direct fielders toward the ball, calling out numbers.
6.
Indicating the area where the ball was hit.
I know that the ball's coming towards me and I have to just then really lock in on the sound that it's making.
Almost every stop involves diving.
Cut!
If the fielder gets the ball before the runner makes it to the base, it's an out. If the runner reaches the base first, they score a run.
Woo!
Cheering and chatter happens only when a play ends. Outside noise hinders the game. Even a plane flying overhead can force a timeout. Still, the ball field is one of the few places players can set aside their disabilities.
It is nice to go into this game and have one less thing to worry about, have one less thing to stress about. You don't have to worry about navigating or, how am I going to get from point A to point B.
They want to play competitively, and they're not out here asking me blind guys. They want to be treated like ball players.
They rally around each other, helping one another with struggles on and off the field. Teammate Joe McCormick, another power hitter, helped Drew to become a software engineer, tripling his salary.
I just didn't even think that was something that would be possible until I met Joe Mack and I was part of the Renegades and we had that culture of just kind of making each other better.
The new job makes it easier to raise his growing family in Manchester. Drew married his high school sweetheart, who can now stay home with their young kids.
Zebra, zebra, what do you hear?
Like the zebra, the Renegades symbolize determination and empowerment, community. And Drew might add a little competition, too. He knew he crushed that ball, but like all his hits, he never knows where they land.
That last hit, do you know where that went?
It went right over my head. It almost took my head off. Right up the middle. Hard, high, high duck.
In the air?
In the air.
Exactly where Drew likes it.